Good morning, followers.
Good morning.
Wow. That was easy.
We're with you.
So, sometimes when we hear that word follower, it triggers us a little bit because we like to be independent. We don't like to follow people, right? But the truth is that we're all followers. Every one of us. How many of you stopped at a stoplight or a stop sign this morning on the way to church? What were you following? The rules of the road. Some of us do that better than others, right? So all of us are always following something. The question is, what exactly is it that we're following? And so this morning, we're going to look at that, what it means to follow the urgings of our higher self. What it means to follow Spirit, to follow divine guidance. What does it mean to live a life where we are Spirit-led? So Spirit-led is one of our core values here at Unity Fort Wayne Spiritual Center. Now, any of us that have worked out in the corporate world or worked for large companies know what core values are because we've had to recite them. We've seen them on logos and la la la. Right? You know them because you have to because it's going to show up on your performance evaluation. Right? However, when is the last time you stopped to consider what your core values are? And why on earth would a church, would a spiritual community that is not a corporation want to have core values? Now, the universe is full of values. I bet that if we got a piece of paper up here and we asked you to shout out things that are important to you, we'd have a varied, diverse list of values. But sometimes when it hits the fan, when the world changes, when politics change, government changes, the weather changes, life as we know it changes, there are some deep values within us that we still abide in. Those are our core values. The things that are really, really important to us. I think of core values as North Stars. So you guys know that I have a romantic relationship with water and a very spiritual relationship with water. For many years, over the centuries, sailors have depended on the North Star to help them navigate in the ocean. They use the North Star to guide the boat. No matter what the weather is like, no matter what the ocean is doing, the North Star navigates them and helps guide them to the place where they want to be. Our core values are like the North Stars. They guide us. They are a constant in our life. They are something that we are committed to being, to doing in this world. The core values are what undergird the actions that we take, the way we treat one another, the activities that we engage in are guided by our core values. At Unity Fort Wayne Spiritual Center, we, as an inclusive and as a vibrant community, inspiring others to express their divine nature, hold dearly the values of being Spirit-led, of being loving, of being inclusive, and of being inspiring. so that the decisions that we make, the way that we treat one another, the way that we serve the world as a light, comes from this place of first being Spirit-led. Those of you that were with us last week know that I talked about the story of the fishermen, where Jesus called his first disciples to him. It's found in Matthew in the chapter 4. And the very first thing that Jesus says to the men on the fishing boat is, "Follow me." Now, I don't think he meant, "Hey, y'all, come on over here." I don't think he meant, "Follow me," as in walk this way. I think that when he called them to follow him, it had a much deeper meaning, and that it was a much greater kind of commitment. When I looked follow up in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, there was like 7 or 8 definitions of follow. Who knew? But I found 3 that really resonated with me and that I could hear Jesus talking about to his disciples. To keep the mind on. To be or act in accordance with. To engage in a calling or a way of life. Jesus was calling the disciples to keep their mind on the things that his mind was on. He was calling the disciples to be their true nature, to act in accordance with who they really were, the divine, just as he was. And he was calling them to make a commitment to live the life that they were meant and called to live. What Charles Fillmore describes as a spiritually quickened people who are strongly fortified in truth and able to help others find the light. Spiritually quickened, fortified in truth. Follow me is a call for us to be Spirit-led. So one of the questions I get most often from all of you is not, where do I buy my clothes? But is, how did I come up with the Sunday lesson? How is it I come up with what it is that I need to say and how I'm going to say it and all that kind of stuff? And so today is full disclosure. The Sunday lesson begins with me settling into my favorite chair. Now, if it's an inside chair, it's what we call at our house, Glenda's ugly green chair. If that ever makes it to the Salvation Army, I don't know if I'll ever be able to speak again. If it's a nice day, I take a blanket that a special friend made for me, and I go outside and I get in what we call Glenda's birthday swing. And I cuddle up in my birthday swing. And then I get quiet. I get quiet and I listen. And I listen. And soon a voice will emerge. A voice that sounds like me, but isn't. And when that voice is done, I'll get up and I'll quietly go into my study. And I'll open my laptop and I'll let the words flow onto the page. Now, there are times when I'm careening down the interstate, not breaking the law, just the sound barrier. listening to the air, and I'm just listening. And that voice will emerge. No, I do not pull off the side of the highway. I would never do anything like that. I do a less dangerous thing. I push record on my phone. And I'll say a few words just to kind of jog my memory for later. There have even been times, as a couple of you know, where I have a great plan, which always gets me in trouble. I have a great plan. I know exactly what it is you need to hear. I've thought it all through. I've got this great story. And I've got this great plan that I'm going to come in here with. And about 2 stoplights down, I hear that voice go, no. This is what I want you to say. This is what you're going to say. And people have seen me come in and scribble a few words down on a napkin. Now, I'm not sharing this with you because I want you to think how fabulous I am, how talented I am. I don't want your praise and adoration. Well, maybe I do. But that's not why I'm sharing this. I'm not sharing this with you for that. I want you to hear how Spirit leads my life, because there's a pattern. Can anyone recognize the pattern? How does Spirit lead me? What do I have to do first?
Get quiet.
Get quiet. I don't know about you, but my mind and my life go 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And so I have to make a commitment to be quiet, because I can't hear anything when my mind, when that committee in my head is giving me instructions, and when I'm driving, thinking about what I need to do next, and I'm moving, I have to get quiet. How many times have you said to a child, listen, listen to me, right? Listen! Because we all know that children can't hear us unless they're
Listening.
That's right. And they have to be quiet. We have to be quiet before we can listen. So to be Spirit-led requires of us to be quiet. I have a friend of mine who calls it a purposeful pause. And I love that. I'm on the board with her. And whenever, we're all kind of like have 20 different opinions about the way something should happen, my friend, Reverend Deb Hill Davis, will say, let's take a purposeful pause. What she's asking is for us to just take a minute. Breathe. And become quiet, so that we can listen. That is the way that we keep our mind on Spirit. Because if I'm out here doing 50,000 things, God is the last thought in my head, unless I'm intentional, unless I'm purposeful, unless I'm sitting in my kayak looking for God. So we have to be quiet. Peace, be still, and know that I am God. Know that I am God. The other way that we are Spirit-led, when we think of the word follow, is to be or act in accordance with. So once we get quiet and once we listen, all that information doesn't do any good if we don't do something with it. Right? So if our inner urging is that we need to say no, that means don't say yes. Because you are not being Spirit-led, you're being self-led. Right? If everything in you says no, and then you find your mouth going, well, yes. Yes, of course. We have to be willing to act on what we know to be true. Sometimes that's really, really easy. Like knowing that my friend needs a hug. But sometimes it's really hard. Because sometimes it means stepping out and doing things that are scary. Sometimes it means stretching ourselves. Sometimes it means risking that we're going to disappoint people. That we might hurt somebody's feelings, and we might not meet somebody's expectation. But remember, that's our North Star. That when we take time to tune into Spirit and we have the courage to act in accordance with, all in the end as well. We are fully supported by the universe. Fully supported by the universe. And so, how does a person act who is led by Spirit? How do you know when somebody is in alignment with their higher self? How do you know? How do they act? What? They're happy. They're joyful. What else?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Compassionate. Laughing. Zeal. Patience. Acceptance. Present. Love. All of that, right? All of that. So if we as a community, if each one of you, as part of Unity Fort Wayne Spiritual Center, want to act as though you're Spirit-led, these are the things you do. Are you willing to commit to that? Are you willing to show up and be that? The last part of being Spirit-led is to live, to engage in. To engage in as if it is a calling, as if it is a way of life. To engage in. That means to participate in. Right? That means you have to move your feet. You can't sit here on Sunday and be Spirit-led. You can be here on Sunday and be Spirit-fed. But the leading doesn't happen till you get up off your cushion and head out the door. That's when you become Spirit-led, is when you leave here. Spirit-led. What does it look like to live a life where God comes first? Where presence comes first. What does that look like? What does that look like for you? For me, it looks like a commitment on Monday afternoons to turn off my cell phone and to get in my kayak if I can. For me, it looks like the first words out of my mouth every morning before I ever even uncover is, thank you, God, for this day. Thank you. I have found that if I start my day with thank you, I can usually end it with thank you. And not a, thank God this is over kind of thank you, but a real thank you. If I start with thank you, my day almost always ends with thank you. What does it look like for you to live a life where Spirit is first, where God is first? What does that look like? And so as I was typing up the lesson last night, I heard "so good" in my head. Now sometimes other people show up in my head. Some people can give me a diagnosis for that. I hope you don't, but you can. Feel free. I will be unaffected. And what I heard was, oh Lord, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? Will you whisper your as I bow down to pray. Oh Lord, what would you have me do today? Close your eyes. And if you know that song, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in. I'm going to invite you to sing that one time with me. Oh Lord, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? Will you whisper your will as I bow down to pray? Oh Lord, what would you have me do today? Keep your eyes closed. Sit comfortably, crossed, uncrossed legs, arms, whatever it takes to make you comfortable. And breathe in. Breathe into the presence of God within. We know by faith that this presence within, around, and through us. In love, we turn ourselves over to that higher presence, that presence of pure beingness. For the next few minutes, we are God's. We let go. We give in. We are present. This is a pure gift, a gift of ourselves to the presence of love within. To abide in the presence quietly and attentively. Use a simple word that expresses your heart's desire in being with the presence. Let that word be there. Silently repeat the word to yourself. When we become aware of a thought other than our word or words going through our minds, we return the mind to the chosen word. This is by simply allowing the word to easily bubble up into awareness. Allow the word to come naturally and easily to mind, like any other thought would arise in mind. We simply use the word. As soon as we become aware that we are thinking about something else, we return to the presence of love within ourselves. We are not seeking anything. We are present. This time is our gift to the love that dwells within us. All of our attention is on presence. We listen, not with our eyes, not with our ears, not with our mind. We
listen with our heart. We listen with our whole beingness. Allowing Spirit to speak to us. As an image, a word, a feeling. Listen, listen, listen to your heart's